Hi, Brozime.
Yeah, I know. Intros are awkward.
I know they are.
So
welcome to Brozime's video. My name is Megan Everett. I will be taking over this and asking Brozime questions about his metagaming.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Sure, we can start there.
No, I can't.
All right, so basically I'm here with Megan. What's the actual title? Just
Community manager.
Okay, I thought it was like lead community manager.
I wish.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Promote me.
Regardless, yeah, do so. Regardless, great community manager of Warframe. Lower key, not seen as much, but still
Yes.
very important.
Yes.
And we have questions to ask that I have hastily written up beforehand. So, should we just start very, very easy and simple?
Oh, there's tiers of questions.
Oh yeah, we have like gradual difficulty increases.
I'm excited.
So it'll just be like a very long survival.
Oh god.
So we'll just start with, so Valkyr is your favorite Warframe. That's still the case?
Still the case. I mean, it's a biased favoritism, right? Like,
Yeah.
You have to like the one you voice. And I love Valkyr. Like, who doesn't like an angry, like, cat creature, essentially?
Yeah.
But, you know, Anaros is also very near and
Also
dear.
very good. How do you feel about Valkyr since the melee changes?
I mean, the fact that she pretty much has kind of her invincibility back in a way, in terms of now, you know, Hysteria doesn't get canceled when you're, you know, in air and want to use your toggle. But I have no complaints currently.
Okay, fair enough.
I honestly haven't played too much of it. It came out like 4 days ago, and I've, you know, had a little bit of a weekend to decompress.
Just cutting everybody up.
Yeah, and so it's I need some more time with it, but I'm currently happy with it.
Okay, so kind of following on that, and this is sort of relevant because of the current melee stuff just getting changed and released. Being part of the community team, you have to translate for the rest of the dev team about the, let's call it escalated criticism that myself and other members of the community sometimes provide.
Never you, Brozime.
Oh
never
yeah,
you.
never me.
No.
But translating that into actually useful feedback, how do you what's the process for that? How do you keep it different from how it's originally voiced?
Right.
Let's say.
Well, a perfect example is Update 26 came out, you know, Thursday night. You streamed almost immediately after, or I don't know if you were already streaming.
That was pretty much immediately after, yeah.
Yeah, so, and we might not have typed in there, but we watched your entire stream and made a lot of notes. And you were, as you do, being brutally honest, or being, you know, you have your way of saying things. And it definitely is one of our main jobs to take feedback, criticism, and, you know, mold it in a way. Because if we were to give some people's exact words to the developers, they might, because there's some things that we know are not necessarily clouded in anger or anything, but some people get really heated at the beginning, like when they give feedback or criticism, and they can kind of simmer down and give us the same criticism or the same feedback just in a different way, and it can be perceived completely different. So obviously step one is, you know, watching these videos or seeing these comments on Reddit or wherever they are, and we have to look at them. It's been over, you know, 6-7 years now, and we have to look at it from not necessarily the initial reaction of it, but just the more constructive side of it, right? Like, you have to pull out the constructiveness and the fact that they might be saying A and B sucks, but they're also trying to list a reason as to why they think it's that.
Right.
So we have to pull that out and do our best to not really relay the super angry or the super angsty stuff right away, because that is, you know, truly only kind of defeating in a way, especially so soon after an update, to want to give developers, you know, they think this sucks, they hate this. You can give them that information. You can say, hey, maybe we should do this, or maybe this wasn't the exact way to approach something. And it's really just all about how you relay it, and try to not give it to them as aggressive
as maybe hope crushing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the complete opposite. Has anything released either with this update or with like stuff in general this year, that it was just difficult to find any complaints about. Like it was just an overwhelmingly just like positive, like just immediately the whole dev team just moved on because it was just so hard to find anything wrong with it.
I honestly, I don't think so. I think there's a difference between something, like putting something out and thinking maybe that was completely incorrect versus it's broken, right? Like, like for example, the Kuva Lich system, we're going to be fixing that, but it's not necessarily broken. It's not necessarily bad. Yeah. It's just like I think, and I mean, this year has just kind of combined into one day, it feels like. So it's hard for me to like think back. But I mean, update 26 has been the biggest update of this year so far. So I'm focusing on that because it just happened. But the Kuva Lich system has been very well received. And if I can I would use that as an example for your question. And just, it doesn't need to be like massively tweaked in any way. There's just some improvements we can do, and obviously some fixes as some stuff is broken. Yeah. But I think the Kuva Lich system I think it's a game changer, truly. Like I love it so much, and we've gotten really good feedback on it. So
that's fair.
Can you think of anything?
I mean, if it goes back for me far enough,
sure.
Like if we're just going like the scope of updates, I feel like the Relic update was that, like changing the prime farming to relics. I think that for me was I had nothing negative to say about it.
Right.
Basically.
Okay. Like going from keys to relics. Yeah.
Oh, obviously that was a while ago at this point.
But even that, like, that had people be like, "Give me my keys back. I hate it."
Yeah.
And then it's like, you really got to look at it from a perspective of, you open this relic and you have so much more chance to get what you want, right? Like you have options now to get what you want. So.
Yeah. Just like the average amount of time to get the thing you're looking for went down so much.
Exactly.
And like, for me, obviously, as someone obsessed with the numbers, looking at like the average time to get a thing is maybe different than people just being like, well, the key, it's different, and reacting to it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about this earlier, but from time to time we've had stats, like a large amount of stats publicly released. Like the most populated MR was released at one time, I believe it was 10 or 11. And then recently we had the stats on the Catch Moon come up and be very high use. Is there any chance that we would see a higher amount of public information in those veins?
In terms of like just kind of like what we did with the drop tables, how we had a literal... I don't know, I think...
Or maybe just like going over those types of stats more often on prime times and things of that nature.
So I think that is something we can definitely do, and I think the Catch Moon, Pablo's amazing video for the Catch Moon, and showing that stat was a good stepping stone, and because we saw the reaction from it, and like people... We were very nervous about it, obviously.
Right. I mean,
for good reason.
Considering its use.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of people that would have a reaction.
Yeah, so we were nervous about it in general. So to see, obviously there was feedback of, how dare you touch this? But there was also feedback of, okay, I get it. Like, that's a huge number. It's weird to be like, I could sit here and say, over 50% of people use Catch Moon or whatever, and it doesn't have the same effect as seeing it in like a stats kind of view. Yeah. So I think reading and seeing all that feedback from showing the Catch Moon stats definitely is a stepping stone of showing more stats. I know Reb loves to use stats on dev streams. She loves to do her.
And I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah, and like that's what I mean. It's like you're the type of player that wants to like see those stats, right? Yeah. Like show me the receipts, show me show me that. So and I totally get it.
And that's like, especially for me, is like the kind of the big focus talking about the Catch Moon in that video was that like at these high MRs it's over 50%. But for me, like going into that video and looking at like from the moment it was acquirable, it was at like 20%. Right. Which is high. Yeah. And then it only went up. That's the only thing. Like there was never a drop. Nobody ever stopped using it. Exactly. It was just being used more and more and more. And like I can see it from both perspectives, obviously, as someone who used the Catch Moon a lot, where I want it to be very good because I invested a lot in it, but also probably nothing should be over 50% use when there's hundreds of things in a category. Yeah. Like if we had if you started with Excalibur and he was at 90% usage all the way to MR27, that's probably not good.
Yeah, there's probably, because that, that really shows that, like, not he's really good, yes, but also that means a lot of other stuff isn't good, right?
Exactly.
So it's like you need to find a balance between that. But to go back to the original question, yes, I think stats can definitely be shown more, used more. Will they be public-facing accessible? I do not think so, because we had this conversation earlier. The stats are a little bit hard to understand in terms of, if yes, you see the catch moon being over 50% at, master rank 27, but then you'd say, oh, but, players at this rank don't use it. Well, it's because they don't have access to it. And it's so you have to really understand how to read it. So
like if you looked over the course of, say, since the absolute beginning of Warframe to now, I bet Excalibur's use overall is exceedingly high, because at one point he was one of 6 Warframes and you started as him.
Right, and you probably kept using him up until a longer period of time, right?
Like your first maybe MR1 or 0, I suppose, through 6, that could just be all Excalibur for a number of people.
Exactly.
Which would heavily skew the data, and like looking at it from like after this update, things change, and just the dates on things matters.
So the stats, internal stats that we have that, we showed you guys, it has just a huge amount of range and just different things you can do to it to get those stats, which is great, but it's really hard to, give that to someone and have them understand right away what they're seeing. So
right. Like a huge spreadsheet, and it's like, understand the numbers. It's like, well,
exactly.
No.
Yeah, it's a bit much. But I do think we can definitely show and use stats in the way that we did Catch Moon, or even if, people just want to see stats. Like if there's an overwhelming, request for, I really want to see the stats for, the Silver and Aegis Prime or whatever, right? It's like, sure, done, right? So
right.
I think we can definitely work with that.
Okay. So, not going to lie, this one's a softball.
Oh, okay.
If you could change any one thing in Warframe right now, big or small, it could be like a large system change or just a tiny thing, what would it be and what would you change?
Okay. This is small. Because it just is the first thing that pops in my head. I'm really, really bad at my own inventory.
Okay.
Knowing, and there's people who are probably really good, and Megan, this is dumb, but I'm really bad at, for example, ducats and primes. I'm really bad at knowing what prime things I have, or what, even if I don't have, say, Boltor Prime, there's just one more thing the UI could show me in terms of when I'm trying to sell things to get my ducats. What I do is I have the game open, and then I have the actual database open, and I search to see if I have made that item, because you can sell the the piece, the bolt or whatever, but it doesn't tell you if you own that bolt. There's just one more thing.
It doesn't tell you if you've owned the completed product.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you own this part of it or whatever, but it doesn't tell you if you own the boltor.
Okay.
And I'm just I have to keep going back and forth.
That
it drives me insane.
I absolutely agree that would be very useful, though.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that comes to my head. In terms of changing, I don't really know. I mean, I have sorry, Dean, my microphone. I have a mountain of requests. I'm a huge lore junkie, so I'm more lore. Give me more lore.
Levirians, perhaps.
More Levirians, yeah, which is on the menu, but even I guess one thing that I would change or again add would be, I drank the Kuva. What's up with that?
What happens next?
I want to turn into a badass. I want to just start.
I also drank the Kuva.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, the theory is Kuva's supposed to make you immortal, right? And theoretically we're already immortal. What is double immortal?
Yeah.
How do we get there?
Why did I drink that Kuva? You know what I mean? And just even there's the quests that do have that whole light and dark balance thing, and we've said before it will tie into something, but I'm just come on, give me it. I need to know.
When are we there?
This is this goes back to my love for I played Fable growing up, and you could play it completely good, or you can play it completely evil, and your aesthetic changed, people reacted to you differently, and I'm just I'm such a sucker for that. So I'm just give me it.
Yep, more dialogue options, more choice, more good and bad.
Yeah.
Or maybe. Although I will have to say the good side, it's white and nice and all that stuff, and the other side is the darkness. But I don't know if many people have noticed, the light side is on fire. That's kind of note there.
Yeah, it's not exactly the most peaceful place possible. Yeah.
One way or another, I think bad stuff might be going down.
Yeah.
But moving on to not a very easy question, I imagine.
Okay.
So rewards in Warframe are kind of sporadic in nature. They come up here and there, and they're maybe not always at the forefront of new content. But with really great rewards in places like Disruption, since the changes were made to that to give it different tiers, and with axes being available in the higher level ones, and say, for example, poor areas for reward, like maybe mobile defenses, which have very little for the time invested in those missions. Do you see in the future that there might be a sort of rewards 2.0, reevaluating where things are in terms of this mission being valuable or not?
Definitely. Before Old Blood, when we were, creating it, there's so many new things in Old Blood, and it was like, where do we put these? And we always have the constant, it always comes back to the conversation of, well, this already exists. Can we make it better with these new stuff? Or just can we make it better without new stuff and somehow move stuff around? It's such a hard balance, question, and there's just already so much in Warframe that you don't want, like you said, mobile defense or some type of mission to kind of get swept under the rug by, Disruption coming in and being, a rather decent game mode with the rewards and whatnot. And then again, you don't want to dilute the rewards, with the whole Relic system. It's like, there's great, but there's so much there.
Right.
And a lot of times when we add things like into relics or stuff like that, we get the feedback of, now it's just making it harder for me to get A, B, C because it's being diluted. So I think, call it rewards 2.0, call it what you want, but I think that conversation is already being had, especially as we keep adding stuff in and adding and adding. Like when we were doing Old Blood, and we were thinking of rewards to put in the Requiem, I'll never be able to say it, Requiem relics. We're trying to think of stuff, and we're trying to think of older things that already exist that could go in it, and then it came up with the idea of the Riven sliver. I'm like, oh my god, there's so much stuff in Warframe. I'm like, oh, what are we doing? And it's only going to grow. It's only going to have more stuff. So with more stuff comes the conversation of where do we put this stuff, and how do we, really make the reward table feel satisfying for missions that you're going to spend a lot more time in.
And then also reinvigorating older game modes that haven't seen things in a while, perhaps.
Yeah. It's like how, you guys were here playing the dev build, and we threw you into an exterminate mission. It's like, then Reb said, it's the most basic, easy mission to do because it's just so simple in terms of what you do, but it could be juiced up in a way for rewards, right? A spot for that. So it's just about balance, so we'll figure it out.
It's fair. Okay, so this is perhaps too technical a question.
Okay.
But we've seen a good number of upgrades to just Warframe's engine over a good period of time, with, of course, the Old Blood adding in a bunch of new visuals, like just visual tools for you guys to use to make new content. Do these upgrades, when they're in development, seem to slow down the kind of content pipe? And now that we have this new engine stuff for the new visuals and things, do you think that the content pipe will move faster? Will we see back to the maybe faster content releases now that those upgrades have been made, if they did slow down development while they were in the works?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that, when you want to touch all the shaders, do deferred lighting and stuff like that, you are going to take someone out of a team that's working on, say, Grendel or something to work on that. So in a way, it slows it down because you've taken someone away from the core content to work on something else.
And there's only so many people, of course.
There's only so many people, exactly. I think that, at TennoCon this year, we showed the, Lisette remaster and the deferred lighting and all that stuff. So, I mean, luckily we already have that. It's just making sure it's not broken everywhere. And as you know, we had the update not too long ago where we changed a whole bunch of stuff and we reverted it almost right away.
With the metallics, people were a bit unhappy with.
Yeah, metallic gate. But yeah, I wouldn't say it slows it down in terms of don't expect an update as quick as possible because we're working on lighting or something. It's just, we have to, put people in their place in terms of where they need to be working on stuff. And luckily we have it all skeletoned out. Big gust of wind just closed that door and scared the crap out of me.
That's how it goes.
Ghosts.
Haunted Studio.
I can't speak technical because I don't know how to do anything technical in terms of making Warframe. But we want to make a Warframe look as good, run as good, and then with adding, Railjack and everything like that, you're going to want it to run as best as possible to be able to run that if you're on a toaster, if you're on a great PC or whatever.
Yeah, and would you say like some of the engine overhaul is maybe in preparation for the next generation of consoles that are very clearly coming up?
I've been so blinders down with the update. I haven't really even talked to the console team about anything they're doing, but we're always trying to do, not always trying to do server maintenance, but we're definitely in the know of, these new things are coming out. We should be ready for it if we decide to be on that console or be on that next kind of generation. So being ready, being prepared is better than not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Don't want to get just absolutely blindsided to be like, PlayStation 5, what?
Exactly. It's like, our game doesn't run on PlayStation 5. We probably should have gotten that ready just in case. So it's all about just being prepared. So hopefully we can get that out without, like you said, slowing anything down. But I don't see that happening.
So to segue off of being prepared, there is, of course, the upcoming stuff that is going to involve the operator. Obviously, Plains of Duviri seems to involve that quite a bit, as well as new story content and things like that involving the operator. And a very important element of the operator is the stuff that you get out of the Plains of Eidolon, with, of course, the quills and getting your more powerful amp and everything like that. With that, Plains of Eidolon is over 2 years old at this point. Is there any consideration for helping players catch up if they've been out of the know? Like for me, I was one of the players that farmed it as fast as possible as the rep cap would allow. And I think rep caps are important to slow down people on new content so they don't just burn themselves out playing for 60 hours right away.
Right.
Because that would obviously obviously that would be literally I would do that.
Yeah.
So stopping me from doing that is probably just a good call in general. But now that we are so far past the launch of that content and it seems to kind of just be there and be available, is there any consideration for allowing players to no longer be limited by that cap just so that they can catch up? Or have a release of the cap where now the cap for everyone is doubled so you can make more progress, especially at lower MRs, trying to catch up to maybe your friends that have been playing for 4 years and they've done this already and they just want you to do Eidolons with them.
We have a philosophy here of never say never. But like you said, it's hard to, we want everyone to experience it right away. But it also it takes us, months or whatever it is to do something, and to see someone blow through it in 20 minutes is almost kind of defeating, right?
Right.
And I think if you haven't played Warframe in a while, we launch, say, New War or whatever it is, or Duviri with, and say it's operator heavy, and you haven't played for a while, and you need to catch up. I think you should catch up. It's I don't know if I would implement a skip forward. The cap increase is very, it could almost be like a cap increase for, operator specifically or something, right? And it has to be in the right place at the right time. I'm honestly not sure, truly, an answer for that. I don't know on that one.
Okay, that's fair. That's just as someone, I've obviously gone back and I do the free to play through type stuff, and that was a large hurdle for me, which was being at MR6 and really wanting to engage with the Plains of Eidolon, where those caps just are very restrictive with just allowing you to move forward. And then especially for people that have considerably less time than I do to play Warframe, where they're just a weekend grinder, for example, it just seems at current, it's highly limiting for those people that don't have a lot of time to play the game. And if you're someone who can play every day, you're not really very restricted.
Yeah.
So maybe a weekly cap would be a thing that would be in consideration for those people that can only play once or twice a day, or a week rather.
Sure. And I think that also touches on, we've said it for a while now, that, it's, no, I wouldn't call it a rank 6 a new player, but the new player experience. And it's it's always something that we try to do where when we introduce something, we go, okay, how would this play and feel from a player that's mastery rank 27 or a mastery rank 6 kind of a player, right? So I think that is definitely something that we need to look at if we're going to, keep releasing content that has to do with the operator that's, really lore heavy in terms of things that you don't experience till later on or you just haven't caught up yet. So it definitely, I think, will be looked at in terms of that.
Okay, that's good to hear. So this is like more of a very personal opinion thing, obviously not like a question that you could answer for Warframe overall. Is there anything that you've noticed being on the sort of community side and like obviously watching so many other people experience the game and like how they play? Is there any kind of play pattern that you or I suppose anyone else's experiences that you could possibly speak for have noticed to be problematic over like the long term with Warframe, like people's play styles being an issue that needed to be solved? So for example, we had the spin attack meta, as it were, with the Atarax and things, and that was clearly a goal to at least heavily disincentivize that with the melee changes. Are there any other just like general mindsets of players that seem to be in that vein?
None come to mind right away. I think I would just go back to what I said about players who just, like dangerously dump like 30 hours or something like right away into it, which, I mean, double-edged sword, right? Like you want people to come in and play it, but also when they burn, they just burn through the whole entire thing and then go, what's next? You know what I mean? Like I saw a meme the other day on the internet where it was like, we release update 26 and then like a minute later they're like, they finish it and they go, content drought. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, damn it, like we tried so hard. So
I killed my lich, what's next?
Exactly, it's like, get another one. So it's, and it's not, like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing because you want people to play it and you want them to play the whole content because that means they were interested in it in a way. I don't know, I would just say really trying to put stuff out that isn't just a one and done kind of thing. Like the Kuva Lich is, a pretty ongoing kind of a mechanic. So especially with the ever looming ephemeras that could eventually possibly maybe show up. Maybe eventually one day. So and then that draws into, but then you don't want to make it too RNG. You don't want to, burn people out trying to complete something or do something just because you don't want them to burn through it in 5 minutes or something. So I think, like, for me, that kind of play style I get, but I also would love to see that not be a thing. Because I want them to play it and be okay with putting it down for a minute and coming back to it. Because maybe they can't progress all the way through it initially and just let it simmer.
And then can come back to it later.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess as like a final question. So this is a thing I've been thinking about with so the Old Blood released and the Kuva Liches obviously have their path and grind where you get the relics and then you do the Kuva floods and you do like the specific Lich missions to draw them out and get their thralls and all that kind of stuff is all linked together and it's like a very clear line to get to and defeat your Liches. The only part of that is kind of connected to anything else is that the Kuva siphons and floods will reward you the relics to pop. And otherwise they give you Kuva, so it's kind of a place where you're somewhat doing two things at once. Is there any consideration going forward to try and integrate more content together where maybe you're not doing the Lich specific mission to get their thralls, but you're on a Visor mission and their thralls are going to show up anyway and killing them is going to get you progress on that while you're still doing these other farms?
Yes, we actually had a conversation, I think it might have been Friday or something, where we read a piece of feedback that said, this is awesome, but I'm just doing an exterminate mission. Like I'm doing the same normal missions that I've already done and already cleared just for these thralls. Like can there be, exactly like you said, like fishers or something that have a purpose other than thralls? So 100% that's a conversation that we're having because it's, it's great to be getting them thralls, but at the same time you don't want to be playing the same nodes that you don't really have a purpose, like if you're a master rank 27 or something, that you don't truly have a purpose being on that node anymore. So yes, 100% a conversation.
Okay, so like perhaps having them like, if they infest a survival mission or maybe a disruption, having that be the disruption mission, the full one, as opposed to like a much shorter variant of it.
Right.
You can still farm for those rewards that you do want, and maybe they get stolen by the Lich. But then having that be a farm that you're doing and making kind of dual progress.
Progress somewhere else, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Like, can I farm for Zephyr Prime and also hunt my thralls at the same time?
Yeah, like having a Kuva Lich infested Visor.
Exactly.
And then a corrupted Lich, and that's a whole nother type of thing there.
Better get that 10-meter catch moon.
Yeah. Just stand right next to him, and it's like it was never nerfed.
Yeah, it's the exact same weapon. We didn't even touch it. Yeah, 100%.
All right, well, that has been, I think, a good round of questions of varying difficulty, I suppose. Hopefully it's been interesting to answer.
Oh, absolutely. I love, like, it's, it's different from reading feedback and just, being disconnected to someone in terms of how they truly feel about something. So getting to have like a one-on-one with, partners or just anyone who has, really good feedback on Warframe is always great.
All right, awesome. And it's great, of course, getting to talk to anyone on the community team. I know I had lengthy conversations yesterday with Taylor about just like where Grendel is and all kinds of other stuff, and that's been great. Kind of the whole community team, even the people you guys don't see, is extremely nice and very helpful, I promise. Having talked to them all personally, they are absolutely wonderful. Try to give them less of a hard time on the forums and just offer the feedback without as much anger, even though I know I am also guilty of doing that live on stream.
Emotions run high. We get it. We just got to roll with it. 7 years, we can handle it. I got a strong backbone.
Well, you have to. Otherwise, you'd be broken.
I'd also be crying on the floor. That was year 1 for me. I'm over it. It's fine.
Fair enough. All right, but yeah, that has been a fun sit down with Megan. Thank you for doing this. It has been a fantastic experience just being here kind of the whole day and getting to do this, of course. But yeah.
Now we get to eat pasta.
Yeah, now we get to eat pasta.
Bye.
Yeah.
So what'd you have for breakfast?
Starbucks.
Like coffee?
I mean, yeah, it counts as breakfast now, right?
I think so.
It's 2019.
It's usually my breakfast. Although it's usually a latte and it's too much milk and I just end up having a stomachache. So
You're just sick all day every day.
It's like, well, it's like, that's like good in the moment and then you're like, I regret that completely. And then you hate your life.
Yeah, that's most breakfast.
It's mostly my breakfast.
You get up and you're like, biscuits and gravy. This was not a good idea.
You've had biscuits.
I mean, it's just biscuits and gravy. It's like just like real like hearty sausage gravy on biscuits.
That's a dinner thing. That is not
really?
Breakfast. Who eats
sausage gravy?
But like, well, I guess they have like biscuit sandwiches, right?
Yeah.
Like Tim Hortons has biscuit.
But
it's just weird.
Because it's just like, I mean, sausage gravy is just mostly like, isn't there like cheese with it as well?
Like poutine?
I mean, well, not so much that. Like shredded cheese over the gravy, over the biscuits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never think of that for breakfast.
Really?
My mind goes to like eggs and bacon.
I mean, like having sausage in the morning is a pretty normal thing though, right?
Not covered in gravy.
Well, I mean, it's in the gravy. It's the thing.
Two different things. Two different things.
Yeah. But it's like very breakfast sausage-y.
Just with soupy gravy.
It's not soupy. It's usually very thick.
Oh my God. I hate it.
Now it's even worse.
Now it's worse.
Oh, the next time you're at a convention, you have to eat that.
No.
We're going to go to a Denny's.
Denny's has, gross. I don't want to.
You don't want Denny's?
I want a Denny's gravy.
Why not?
There's probably like scraped from the bottom.
No, it's great.
Truck stop gravy?
Denny's is not a truck
Denny's is a truck stop.
No, they're just open.
24 hours. They have everything on the menu.
Well, there's a difference between like everything on the menu and the good stuff on the menu.
True. I've gone there at 2 a.m. and gotten Eggs Benedict and gotten very sick.
Yeah, that seems like that's you went too high key
What's
for
the difference
Denny's.
between hollandaise sauce and gravy? Both weird, liquidy substances that.
So this is your Q&A time right now. You just make sure that your shirt thing isn't.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My scarf.
Your scarf.
Clearly from Canada. What is it? That camera? That?
This one right here.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to do any kind of intro, you have it all planned out? Or?
No.
Okay.
Start